Hello everybody, my name is Zen and welcome back to our patch 2.3 content coverage on the PTS, where we're going to be taking a look at all of the new graphical updates coming soon. So, on the left hand side is the PTS footage, and on the right hand side is going to be all of the 2.2 footage, which is the live servers. Just to give you a bit of a reference, we're going to be doing side-by-side comparisons throughout this entire video, and this is obviously all pre-recorded. However, everything on the left hand side you'll notice has like a little bit more shine to it, and the colors are a bit more vibrant. It's almost like someone turned up the contrast, and that's going to be a theme that you'll see throughout the entirety of this video. So most of the stuff on the right hand side you'll notice also is a bit more, I don't want to say dull, but that's kind of the only word for it. And you'll notice things like the oranges are a bit brighter. In fact, yellows are also a little bit brighter. And just overall, the different look and style to the game in 2.3 makes it a bit more fresh and sharp. So this is the Republic fleet, and it's kind of the same thing. For this one though, it's a little harder to tell, you know, the left hand side from the right hand side until you get into that, or the darker areas where the light really takes effect. And with that, you'll notice, like I said, the brighter oranges, the brighter yellows, they're just more vibrant. You know, more contrast was added to it, and even some of the textures feel like they're a bit more jumping out at you. They kind of pop way better off of the surfaces, and I don't even think they did anything with the textures. It's just what the color does to the textures. So it's just one of those things. The fleet isn't necessarily the best place to be looking for these updates. However, I'm going to be going through this entire video showing you places that you're constantly familiar with. So the fleets are obviously a good example of it. McKeb and the player ships are another good example, plus the character screen. The character screen might actually blow you away with how different it actually looks. But once again, this is the Republic fleet. Not a huge change between the left and the right, but there is still quite a difference when it gets to the darker areas. Now McKeb, on the other hand, you'll notice a pretty big change once you see the grass. So the grass on the left hand side is way more bright, and everything on the right hand side almost looks like it has a gray over it. It looks like it's a Call of Duty game, you know. It's really dark and gray, and it almost looks overcast, whereas the left hand side you get that vibrant color. Like the path on the dirt is really popping. It's much brighter. The brown is just much more vibrant, and overall McKeb just looks a lot better like this. We'll also see, because I'm going to be going into one of those tunnels of like the volcano and going in there, you'll see kind of the same theme. Oranges once again popping out, the yellows popping out, the darker colors in well-lit areas are more vibrant. In fact, I would say it almost feels more like a lighting change than it does a color change, but according to them, they just changed, you know, the color palette. But like I said, it definitely, I mean, by all means, feels more like a lighting change, especially on McKeb. I think that's the biggest one that you'll see, the biggest difference between the two. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about it. I like the left-hand side a lot more, but I don't mind the right-hand side. I think it's just going to take time to get used to. But once again, now we're moving into the cave. You see the right-hand side's a bit more gray than the left-hand side. Obviously, 2.3 is a bit more vibrant, like I've been saying. But you go into the cave, and suddenly the lighting is a little different on the right-hand side than it is on the left. So the lighting on the right-hand side is, I wouldn't say it's more vibrant, because it just feels like there's less red, right? For this specifically, it just feels like there's less red. It feels like on the left-hand side they turned up the color a bit, but I think that's what they're going for, and that's the way they've been describing this update in general, is that it's just more vibrant. They changed the color palette, but I don't really, I guess, notice the difference in some areas in here as much as others. It's really when the red starts taking effect and is kind of bouncing off of the walls, and the lighting also is you know, reflecting off of the surfaces, that you start noticing the changes there. But this is the character screen, and oh my gosh, there's a pretty big difference in contrast here. The left-hand side is way more vibrant with colors. I know some of these characters aren't wearing the same gear. That's just because on the live servers I don't have the same gear for these characters. I have them all fitted out, but man, look at that agent, way brighter on the left-hand side than it is on the right-hand side. side, you can't really tell the difference with that warrior, let's be honest. But with the consular, you can tell the difference definitely in the background, brighter, especially on the smuggler here. The face texture is a bit brighter than the right-hand side. The trooper, harder to tell the difference unless you're looking in the background. And the Jedi-knight, definitely on the face and on the lighting in the ship. So let's actually take a look at the ships now that we're thinking about it. This footage isn't necessarily synced up as well as I would like it to be, but you can kind of tell the difference in the bounty hunter ship here. It's a bit more grayscale on the right-hand side than it is on the left. The colors on the left are just popping on the lighting effects. So when you're going under and you're walking through the lighting effects, you see like the character on the right-hand side pretty much remains that gray color, but the character on the left gets the color on him. It feels like the color is contrasting a bit better. Now with the consular ship here, you can definitely tell the difference on the ground. The ground textures are way more vibrant left-hand side, less so on the right-hand side. You get to the darker areas of the ship here and you'll notice them a bit more as well on the left-hand side with the color popping. It almost feels more real in the sense of how the lighting affects the colors in the rooms, which sounds weird because the game has a surrealist look to it. It's not necessarily real, but it's not super cartoony. And the footage on the left-hand side definitely, I guess, accents the way that the realistic footage looks. It makes it a bit more real, even though it is more contrast. It's just something that you would expect to see if you were actually on the ship. It's a bit darker, especially on the smuggler ship in places. You'll notice the darker areas, the different color hues, and it's really cool. And at this point, I'm just repeating myself, let's be honest. I mean, I've pretty much said everything there is to say about this footage, but I'm really impressed by it. I don't know about you guys. You guys can let me know in the comments below, obviously, which one you're more impressed with. I like the left-hand side more than I do the right-hand side. It's going to take me a bit to get used to, but overall, I do like the left-hand side. This trooper footage, though, this is kind of weird. It's almost like my character is more vibrant because of the lighting effects in the environment more than on the right hand side, and that could just I don't know if that's because of the colors that she's wearing on the left hand side as opposed to the right, but like I said, it feels like she's popping out of the environment a bit more on the left, and I like that. You know, gonna have to get used to it obviously, but I like it. I think they could do maybe some higher res textures in the future with some of the stuff. I mean, the textures don't look bad, but if they did higher res textures, it'll really accent this change that they've made. And then lastly, that I'm gonna do, because you don't really need to see the agent ship, it's pretty much the same thing all throughout, but the reds on the Sith Inquisitor ship really stood out to me. You'll notice the red lighting on the right hand side is a bit more muted as opposed to the left hand side. It's more dark. It's almost like 255-0-0, you know, red on the left hand side as opposed to the right hand side. And most of that would just go over your head if you didn't know anything about the colors, like choosing on Photoshop and stuff like that. But yeah, the red on the left hand side, super bright. Now this is a close-up of my character on the McKeb station. You can kind of tell the difference on the contrast on the left hand side, but not so much. And then lastly, we have these lightsaber colors. These are just the normal lightsaber colors, but they pop a bit better on the PTS, so I figured I would show you several different colors of those, including all the different hues like orange, white, red, and blue and green. So we'll be able to kind of see the differences there. However, that's pretty much all of the changes. I really want you to explore for yourself when the patch is released, so I'm not going to show you any more of it. I was going to show some planets like Tatooine and stuff, but I'd prefer you get the wow factor of really visualizing it for yourself. Although I did want to show you kind of the side-by-side comparisons and the differences between them, which they are fairly significant in areas and not so much in others. But I like it. I know you guys will like it. Let me know in the comments below if you don't like it, or go check out our website, OSWnetwork.com, where we'll be posting way more of these in the future, and hopefully we'll be doing some of the Flashpoint videos coming up here soon. But on that note, we shall see you guys next time.